once the first wave of dandelions starts to go over, a new yellow flower starts to take over the fields. And this in particular is a mouse ear hawkweed, but there are lots of different species of hawkweed. This one here is a really, really pretty one with lovely leaves. It's known for its leaves, which gives the name of mouse ear hawkweed. Can you see all of these very, very long hairs? So these hawkweeds are distantly related to the dandelion. Dandelions are the Taraxacum genus, whereas these are the Hyraceum. And these do have medicinal properties. This mouse ear hawkweed was traditionally used as an expectorant, which means it can help to clear mucus from the lungs. And it's also mildly astringent, which means it can help to tighten tissues and also help to stop minor bleeding. This is also a larval food plant for quite a few different moths, particularly the mouse moth, which is just a coincidence with the name actually. But yeah, look how pretty these flowers are. They're in the Asteraceae family or the Daisy family, and that means that these all have their own little flowers. Each petal is essentially its own little flower. Quite easy to identify. If you turn them over, this mouse ear hawkweed has this gorgeous kind of fuchsia markings on the backs of the petals. Quite cute. Right, I'm going to see what else I can find on this sunny south-facing grassy bank. And I've chosen this spot in particular because May is such a lovely time to go and search for wildflowers, and wildflowers really love unfertilised soils. This old bank here was a scree hill about 30 years ago, and nature has since kind of taken it over. So it's a mixture of scrubland and lots of different kind of wildflowers. So I've specifically chosen this sunny south-facing bank just to have a little explore and see what kind of flowers and plants I can find. All of these shrubs here, these bright yellow ones, are not gorse. These are actually broom, Scotch broom. And there's a couple of different varieties here. And I've seen a couple around here that have got little red variegated petals as well. And that's the Andreanus variety. The Scotch broom gets its name because the foliage was once gathered and used as kind of sweeping brooms. So it makes quite a good sturdy broom when it's gathered and tied up. Like the gorse, this broom is also in the legume family, the Fabiaceae family, and you can tell with these pea-like flowers. So these flowers are much larger than gorse, and the foliage is very different as well. You can't really get them confused, but these can also be eaten. They have a much stronger pea-like flavour than the gorse. The gorse flowers taste like pea too, but with the right kind of warmth and heat on the petals and at the right time of day, then they can taste a little bit like coconut, slightly sweeter. But these have a much stronger pea taste to them. I prefer to just eat the petals, but these flowers haven't really got any hint of bitterness at all. It's just very nice and pea-like. This is one of the best foods that you can forage at this time of year. The young, closed flower buds of the common hogweed. Now we know this is the common hogweed and not the giant hogweed because of the leaves. They're quite fuzzy and downy rather than the harsh, kind of almost thorn-looking spines on the giant hogweed. I've got a short identification video that I'll link in the description of this video that you can check out for giant hogweed. So when steamed or lightly boiled or even pan-fried, these take on the same sort of texture as broccoli, sprouting broccoli, but they have a flavour all of their own. Slightly floral, really quite delicious. I've just spied a little halfway point reward for climbing this massive hill. It's just there, look. That is going to be my first whiff of wild rose this year. Oh, it's a sun trap round here. Oh, I've been treated with a beach rose. Nice. So this one here is the beach rose Rosa rugosa. And this one here is the dog rose, Rosa canina. And I can smell this one without even putting my head near it. Oh, this warm, rainy air has really kicked up all of these spring scents. It just pissed it down. I did film the little downpour because it happened just as I got out of the car. But I didn't have any microphone on, so didn't have any sound. But oh my gosh, it smells delightful here. Oh, it's such a subtle but sweet scent, but this one is so heady. Oh, it's so perfumey. When you think of rose perfume, it's this one that you imagine. Oh, I can't tell you how much I'm in love with this earth. Everything is just so gorgeous today. That early summer rain that we've just had has really kicked up all of this scent. And the scent of rose and white beam is just floating on the air. It's so delightful. So as much as I want to, I'm not going to gather any more of these petals because they've only just come into bloom, it seems. Lots of the buds are still tightly closed. So I'll let all of the bees and other pollinators have their fair share before I come back in a week or so's time to harvest some petals. Oh, so gorgeous. These are just going to be pocket petals for the day. Just get them out periodically for a little whiff. I've got a few big clumps of Napweed just under this dog rose, and you can actually still see some of the old flower heads from last year. Napweed is a really brilliant native plant for pollinators, and I grow this around my bathtubs in the more kind of meadowy areas of my allotment. It's got beautiful flowers and it's absolutely buzzing with bees in the summer months. Some vetch there as well. The beautiful ribwort plantain just finishing its flowering on these heads here. The younger unopened heads have got a taste quite similar to raw mushrooms. I was very, very surprised when I first tried them years ago. But these leaves can also be eaten when they're very young. This is probably the oldest leaf that I'd go for if I was going to have it in a salad. They can get quite stringy when they are this age. And actually you can use these little fibres as a natural, very fine string for jewellery making. They can be twisted up and made into a natural thread. And these leaves can be used as a plaster as well. Best when they're chewed up, mixed with your saliva, and used as kind of like a spit poultice. Great for lots of different ailments, anything from bites, scratches, stings, minor cuts. Really awesome herb, ribwort plantain, Plantago lanceolata. There's a patch of teasels down here, and since we've just had a big rain, ouch, I've got a splinter. Hang on, let me get this out. It was actually a thorn. But anyway, because we've just had a rain, I can show you Teasel's little capturing system. Look at that. And it has these little pockets just in the leaf bracts here so it could collect water. You can see it better on this lens. But look at these pockets, they're quite full, and we've only had a brief rain. Or these actually might have been collecting from last night too. But can you see the little insect in there? Now this is a semi-coniferous plant. It doesn't digest plants in the way that true carnivorous plants do, but what it does is it captures insects in its little buckets of water and they drown, and as they decompose it absorbs all of their nutrients as kind of its own sort of plant food. Very, very clever is Teasel. And these leaves are very, very spiky. It's a good identifying feature. It can look like dock from a distance, but it's got a much brighter green colour, and as you come close you can see this almost dinosaur spine on the backs of the leaves there. Very prickly. And as they get older they shoot up really, really, really tall, And the flower heads are awesome food for finches. I grow them in my garden specifically for the birds because the seed heads are a really, really awesome source of food for them in the colder winter months. But not only that, they also look quite striking. They hold their shape and structure all through winter, so it makes your garden look kind of cool in the months when there's not any colour. I also love to use the seed heads as little tiny brushes as well. They were traditionally used to card wool, you know, to kind of tease wool fibres, but you can also use them as a makeshift comb. A small little stand of oxeye daisy, also known as marguerite or the Shasta daisy. Hello, who are you? Unfamiliar with you, little fly. Oh. Anyway, these at this stage is when many people like to pick them. These closed tight buds can be pickled in a warm vinegar. Cider vinegar is good, also white rice vinegar. But if you use white rice vinegar, it doesn't keep quite as long, bear in mind, as when you're using cider vinegar. These are quite delicious when they're pickled. I've not made an entire jar with purely pickled oxeye before, but I tend to throw them in many of my early summer ferments because they're just kind of cute. They're like little buttons. These leaves, when they're quite young like this, before the flowers have opened, are also quite delicious. They've got a flavour all of their own. It's a little bit nutty, a little bit floral, a little bit of bitterness in there as well, as you'd expect. But yeah, they are quite tasty. They can be eaten raw or cooked. And the flowers are like giant daisies. It's in the daisy family or the Asteraceae family, same as the hawkweed that we saw earlier. But the flowers are quite pretty. They are literally just like giant daisies and they can be added to salads. But I also love to put them in summer rolls as well. And just a stone's throw, we've got the true daisy, Bellis perennis, which means evergreen beauty. And they really are, aren't they? Evergreen beauty because the leaves are pretty much evergreen. It's getting very windy now. I don't know if you can hear those gusts. But I love daisy, not only for making cute little daisy chains in summer, but also because it makes an excellent bruise balm. It is similar in effect to arnica, if you've ever used arnica cream for bruises or aches and strains when you were younger. My mum never gave us arnica, but I used to go to my friend's house and his mum used to give us arnica whenever we fell off our skateboards. You can make a bruise balm by steeping the daisies in a carrier oil or making a tincture and then adding that to a balm. Very pretty. I'm going to take this one with me for luck. Looks like it's time to start another elixir. The hawthorn flowers are fully out now. Lots of them have already been pollinated and the scent has gone. So you see when these little anthers on top of the stamens here turn brown, that's when I don't collect them. I like to collect them when the pollen is still quite fresh and it gives you the maximum flavour. But they're still perfectly edible, just means that they won't be quite as flavoursome. Check out this white beam stand. White beam is one of my favourite berries in early autumn. They've got an almost tropical flavour. Swedish white beam is my favourite. Smells a little, definitely floral, slight hint of elderflower, but elderflower in the sense of, you know, sometimes elderflower has that kind of cat pea scent to it. Not that this smells like cat pea, but it's just got that kind of little undertone. Oh look, there is an oxeye daisy or marguerite flower in bloom. How pretty is that? I love these little daisy heads. These make the most awesome flower crowns, especially because you can harvest loads of these. They grow almost like a weed. They're not a weed, but they do grow almost like one. So you tend to find huge stands of them. You can harvest quite a few. Oh my gosh, that is, look, that is the first forming strawberry I've seen this year. Wild strawberries. How beautiful. Oh my gosh, not long now. There's loads of them here. Oh, I'll be coming back here in maybe, I'd say around 2 weeks, 10 days. maybe a little bit earlier just to check to make sure that the animals haven't started on them already. The wild strawberry is probably my favourite summer harvest. It is gorgeous. It's got a taste like no other. No other strawberry can compare to the wild strawberry. They're not actually, our own strawberries aren't actually cultivated from these strawberries at all, even though you'd think that that would make sense. A group of plants down here in the sunshine. These flowers are the herb Robert, this type of geranium. This is also called stinking bob because it has got quite smelly leaves once they're crushed, and that smell can be used to deter pests. It's quite good as an insect repellent or hung up in your duck or chicken coop to kind of ward off any insects or flying bugs. Works quite well. Next to it here I've got some very, very tall mouse-ear chickweed. It's very tall indeed. It's not quite coming to flower yet, but it won't be too long. And then one of my favourites down here, St. John's wort. And if I hold up a leaf to the sun, I'll be able to see whether it's Hypericum perforatum or not. So there aren't any holes in the leaves of this plant, or very few anyway, but there are some very faint black gland dots around the outside margin of the leaf. And also I've just noticed that the stem on this plant is square. One of my favourite sedges. This is the pendulous sedge, and I just love these beautiful pendulous seed heads. And I gathered so much pendulous sedge last year, or maybe the year before last, that I still have a massive sack full of pendulous sedge flour that I need to start getting through. This was a lifesaver during the Wild Biome project where I ate just wild food for the month of May last year. So I harvested the seeds, ground them up into a flour and used that for lots of different foods, like baking mostly. The flour made a really good addition to cakes and breads, but also the toasted seeds were quite nice, just topped on most dishes. Really beautiful. And I grow this in my garden just next to my pond. You have to be careful when you're playing around with pendulous sedge because the leaves are incredibly sharp and they can give you leaf cuts, like paper cuts, just worse. Is that not the meanest rose stem you've ever seen? The size of these. You see these trees? It is really picking up. It wasn't even forecast to be this windy today. When I left this morning, it was beautiful and sunny, but it seems like the weather is turning and looks like the rain is starting to come in. I've had a lovely walk up a hill looking at wildflowers, but it's just a lovely time of year to come out and see what's changing in the landscape. I think I'm going to head off back to my cosy allotment and go hang out with the ducks.